The war room on Titan Station buzzed with tension. Commander Hyun-woo Kim stood at the edge of the massive holographic display, watching alien generals argue in languages that hurt human ears to hear. The room was designed for beings much larger than humans, making Hyun-woo feel like a child among giants. 7 different alien species had gathered for this emergency meeting. The Vorthak Empire was pushing deeper into coalition space every day, and desperate times called for desperate measures. Each alien race brought their own military traditions, their own ideas about how wars should be fought. General Veltar of the Altarians stood 12 feet tall, his crystalline body glowing with soft blue light. His people had mastered energy warfare thousands of years ago. When he spoke, his voice sounded like music played through broken glass. "The solution is obvious," Veltar declared, gesturing at the star maps. "We create an impenetrable energy barrier around their advanced fleet. Then we use focused plasma strikes to eliminate them systematically." Hive speaker Kixna clicked her mandibles in disagreement. The insect-like Kethmori had evolved perfect group coordination. When her species fought, 10,000 soldiers moved like one mind. "Energy barriers are wasteful," Kixna buzzed. "Swarm tactics are superior. We surround them with overwhelming numbers, moving in perfect synchronization. They cannot fight what they cannot predict." Strategist Prime Zephon remained silent until others finished speaking. The Nexari were known for their patience and precision. When Zephon finally spoke, his mechanical voice was calm and calculated. "Both approaches lack efficiency," he said. "Quantum strike teams can eliminate their command structure in minutes, remove the leadership, and the enemy collapses without wasted resources." Other alien commanders nodded approvingly. Each species had refined their military doctrine over millennia. They had fought wars across the galaxy and won through superior technology and evolved tactics. Then all eyes turned to Hyun-woo. The human commander cleared his throat and stepped forward. He activated his own display, showing Earth's tactical proposals. The hologram revealed human battle plans that looked chaotic compared to the clean, elegant alien strategies. "We suggest a multi-pronged approach," Hyun-woo began. "Combined arms tactics using kinetic weapons, explosive charges, and projectile systems. We hit them from multiple angles while maintaining tactical flexibility." The room fell silent for a moment. Then General Veltar began to laugh. The sound was like crystal wind chimes in a hurricane. "Kinetic weapons?" Veltar asked, his glowing form pulsing with amusement. "You mean throwing rocks at them? How wonderfully primitive." Hive speaker Kixna clicked rapidly, which Hyun-woo's translator interpreted as laughter. "Your species still uses chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Do you also fight with clubs and stones?" "The inefficiency is remarkable," Strategist Prime Zephon added. "Why accept any casualties when precision can eliminate targets without loss?" Other alien commanders joined in the mockery. They questioned why humans relied on individual soldiers making decisions instead of perfect central coordination. They wondered why human tactics seemed so random and unpredictable instead of following logical patterns. Hyun-woo felt his cheeks burn, but he kept his voice steady. "These tactics have served humanity well in our conflicts. Adaptability and individual initiative have advantages." "Advantages?" Veltar's crystalline body flared brighter. "Your species has been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. We have fought wars for thousands of years. Experience speaks louder than enthusiasm." Ji-Hai Park, Hyun-woo's second-in-command, stepped up beside him. Her dark eyes showed controlled anger, but she maintained professional composure. "Commander Kim's proposals deserve consideration," she said quietly. "Human forces have shown effectiveness in recent skirmishes." "Against minor raiders and pirates," Kixna buzzed dismissively. "The Vorthak Empire is a different challenge entirely. They are master adapters who learn from every encounter. Only proven, superior tactics will succeed." Taemin Lee, the youngest human officer present, looked like he wanted to say something. Hyun-woo caught his eye and shook his head slightly. This was not the time for junior officers to speak. The alien commanders returned to their own discussions, effectively dismissing human input. They spoke of energy matrices and quantum targeting systems, of swarm coordination protocols and precision strike algorithms. Their technology sounded impressive, their confidence absolute. "We shall assign human forces to support roles," Veltar announced finally. "Supply lines, communications, perhaps escort duty for our main fleets. Leave the actual fighting to those with proper experience. The meeting concluded with detailed assignments. Altarian forces would lead the main assault with their energy barriers. Kethmori swarms would provide overwhelming numbers. Nexari strike teams would eliminate key targets. Other alien species would contribute their specialties. Humans would guard supply convoys and relay messages. As the alien commanders filed out of the war room, their forms casting strange shadows in the artificial light, Hyunwoo gathered his own staff. Jihai and Taemin stayed close, along with several other human officers who had witnessed the humiliation. "Sir," Taemin said quietly, "their dismissal seems premature. Human tactics have proven effective. Not according to them," Jihai replied, her voice tight with controlled frustration. "We're the new species, the inexperienced ones. They've been fighting wars since before Earth developed agriculture." Hyunwoo studied the star chart still displayed in the center of the room. The Vorthak advance was marked in red, showing their steady progress through coalition space. Their forces moved with purpose and intelligence, adapting to every defensive strategy the coalition employed. "Perhaps they're right," he said finally. "Perhaps our tactics are primitive compared to theirs." "Commander?" Jihai looked surprised. "Think about it objectively," Hyunwoo continued. "They have energy weapons that can cut through any armor. They have coordination systems that eliminate confusion and friendly fire. They have precision technology that can hit targets from impossible distances." Taemin frowned. "But sir, doesn't that assume their way is the only correct way?" "It's the way that works," Hyunwoo replied. "Or at least it's worked for them for thousands of years." The human officers exchanged glances. Their commanders seemed subdued, perhaps even convinced by the alien arguments. None of them had expected such a thorough dismissal of human military doctrine. As they left the war room, Hyunwoo walked slowly, lost in thought. The corridor outside buzzed with activity as various alien species prepared for the upcoming campaign. Their movements showed the confidence of those who had never truly doubted their superiority. "Sir," Jihai said as they reached the human quarters, "are we really going to accept support roles?" Hyunwoo paused at his door. "We're going to follow orders and do our duty. The coalition has assigned us positions based on their assessment of our capabilities. But what if their assessment is wrong?" Taemin asked. "Then we'll find out soon enough," Hyunwoo replied. "War has a way of revealing truth regardless of our assumptions." That night, alone in his quarters, Hyunwoo reviewed the battle plans again. The alien strategies looked flawless on paper. Every variable was calculated, every contingency planned for. Their technology could accomplish things that seemed like magic to human understanding. Yet something nagged at him. He pulled up historical files from Earth's military archives, studying human conflicts from ancient times to the recent colonial wars. Every major victory had come from doing something unexpected, something that broke the established rules. But perhaps that was simply because humans hadn't known any better. Perhaps true military evolution meant leaving such crude methods behind. The aliens certainly seemed to think so. They had evolved beyond the need for chaos and unpredictability. They had found better ways to fight, cleaner ways to win. Hyunwoo closed the files and tried to sleep. Tomorrow the coalition would begin their campaign against the Vorthak Empire. The alien forces would demonstrate their superior tactics and technology, and humans would watch from the sidelines, assigned to support roles because their methods were considered too primitive for real warfare. Outside his window, the stars looked different than they had from Earth. Here in deep space, surrounded by alien allies who barely considered humanity worthy of notice, those distant suns seemed cold and unwelcoming. The mockery still stung, but perhaps it was deserved. Perhaps humanity really did have much to learn about civilized warfare. Time would tell whether the aliens were right about everything else. The Kepler 442 system had become a battlefield overnight. From the bridge of the human support vessel Soul's Pride, Commander Hyunwoo Kim watched the coalition's first major offensive unfold with mechanical precision. General Veltar's Altarian fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their ships glowed with contained energy, shields shimmering like soap bubbles in sunlight. The barriers they created were works of art as much as weapons of war, geometric patterns of pure force that nothing could penetrate. "Altarian energy screens at maximum efficiency," reported Jihai Park from her station. "No enemy fire is getting through." Behind the energy barriers, Hive Speaker Kixna's Kethmori swarms deployed with inhuman coordination. Thousands of small fighters moved like schools of fish. Every pilot connected to the hive mind. They turned and dove as one being, their movements so synchronized they seemed choreographed. Kethmori swarm formations holding perfect patterns, Taman Lee announced. Zero deviation from planned trajectories. In the distance, barely visible even on sensors, strategist Prime Zephon's Nexari strike teams moved through space like ghosts. Their quantum stealth technology made them nearly undetectable until the moment they struck. When they did attack, their precision was surgical, eliminating targets with mathematical accuracy. Nexari. Teams reporting 100% target. Acquisition success, came the report from Coalition Command. The Vorthak forces seemed caught completely off guard. Their ships retreated in what appeared to be panic, falling back toward the inner planets of the system. Coalition forces advanced steadily, their superior tactics working exactly as planned. The aliens were right, Taemin said quietly, watching the display. Look at that coordination. Look at that efficiency. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. The alien forces made human military action look clumsy by comparison. There was no wasted motion, no confused communications, no friendly fire incidents. Every shot hit its target. Every maneuver accomplished its purpose. Commander, came General Veltar's voice over the communication channel, his tone smug with satisfaction. I trust you are observing the efficiency of evolved warfare. Perhaps your species will learn from this demonstration. We're watching closely, General, Hyunwoo replied diplomatically. For 6 hours, the coalition advanced through the system. The Vorthak forces continued their retreat, offering only token resistance. Their return fire was scattered and ineffective against the Altarian energy barriers. Their attempts at counterattacks were disrupted by Kethmori swarm tactics. Their command ships were systematically eliminated by Nexari precision strikes. This is easier than projected. Kixna's buzzing voice filled the command channel. The enemy appears to lack proper tactical doctrine. Their technology seems primitive, Zephon added in his mechanical tone. Adaptation protocols suggest they are inferior to previous intelligence estimates. Human forces had been assigned to guard the supply lines far behind the main battle. From their position, they could only watch as the aliens demonstrated their superiority. It was both impressive and humbling. Sir, Jihai said privately to Hyunwoo, maybe we really do have a lot to learn. Their methods are clearly more advanced than ours, but something bothered Hyunwoo. He studied the tactical displays, watching the Vorthak retreat patterns. The enemy movement seemed almost too predictable, too convenient for the coalition's advance. Time in, he called. Analyze the Vorthak withdrawal routes. Something doesn't feel right. The young officer bent over his console, running calculations. Sir, you're correct. Their retreat appears to be leading our forces into a specific formation, almost like they're herding the coalition ships. Into what kind of formation? I'm not sure yet, sir. But the pattern is too regular to be random panic. Before Hyunwoo could respond, alarms began sounding across the coalition fleet. The Vorthak forces had suddenly stopped retreating. Instead, they were deploying something new, something the coalition had never seen before. Energy absorption arrays activated, came a panicked report from an Altarian ship. Our barriers are being drained somehow. The beautiful energy shields that had protected the coalition fleet began to flicker and fade. But instead of dissipating harmlessly, the energy was being drawn away, absorbed by strange Vorthak devices that fed on the very power that was supposed to protect against them. Impossible. General Veltar's voice cracked with disbelief. Our shields are impenetrable. This technology should not exist. Worse was happening to the Kethmori swarms. Strange waves of chaotic energy swept through their formations, disrupting the delicate mental connections that allowed perfect coordination. Suddenly, thousands of fighters were flying blind, their hive mind shattered into confused fragments. Connection lost with swarm units, Kixna reported, her usual buzzing replaced by static. Coordination protocols failing. Pilots are operating independently. The Nexari precision strikes fared no better. Quantum scramblers deployed by the Vorthak made accurate targeting impossible. The surgical strikes that had been eliminating enemy commanders were now hitting empty space or, worse, friendly ships. Targeting solutions corrupted. Zephon's mechanical voice showed something that might have been panic. Quantum matrices are being randomized. We cannot achieve target lock. In less than an hour, the perfect coalition advance had become a chaotic rout. The specialized alien tactics that had worked for thousands of years were being systematically neutralized by an enemy that seemed to understand them better than their creators did. How is this possible? General Veltar demanded over the communications channel. Our methods are proven. Our technology is superior. The Vorthak appear to be adapters, came the reply from Coalition intelligence. They study enemy tactics and develop specific counters. They've been analyzing our forces during the retreat. But that should be impossible, Kixna protested. Our coordination systems are beyond their understanding. Apparently not, Hyunwoo said quietly. The Coalition fleet began a desperate retreat of their own. Ships that had advanced in perfect formation now fled in growing disorder. The energy barriers were completely drained. The swarm coordination was broken. The precision targeting was scrambled. Sir, Jihai reported, Coalition forces are requesting immediate withdrawal to Rally Point. What about us? Taemin asked. Should we retreat with them? Hyunwoo looked at his displays. The human ships had been far enough back to avoid the initial disaster. Their primitive technology hadn't been targeted by the Vorthak counters, perhaps because it wasn't considered a threat. Negative, he said. We maintain position and cover the retreat, sir. Jihai looked surprised. We're just support vessels. We're not equipped for combat. Maybe not, Hyunwoo replied, but we're the only ones still functioning normally. As the Coalition fleet retreated in disorder, human ships found themselves facing Vorthak forces for the first time. The enemy seemed surprised to encounter vessels that still had working shields and functional weapons. Vorthak cruiser moved to intercept the Soul's Pride. Instead of using energy absorption arrays or quantum scramblers, it simply opened fire with conventional weapons. Return fire, Hyunwoo ordered. The human ship's kinetic weapons and explosive missiles struck the Vorthak vessel. The enemy had been equipped to counter advanced alien technology, but simple projectiles and chemical explosives worked exactly as designed. Direct hits, Taemin reported with surprise. Enemy vessel is damaged. More Vorthak ships moved to engage the human forces, but their special countermeasures were useless against primitive human technology. Kinetic rounds punched through hulls designed to deflect energy weapons. Explosive charges detonated against armor prepared for quantum strikes. This is impossible, came General Veltar's voice over the communication channel. How are human ships achieving success when our superior technology failed? Hyunwoo didn't answer immediately. He was watching the tactical display, seeing something the aliens had missed. The Vorthak were master adapters, but they adapted to sophisticated patterns. Human tactics were too chaotic, too unpredictable for their systems to analyze effectively. Sir, Jihai said quietly, the other human ships are reporting similar success. The Vorthak countermeasures don't seem to work against our weapons. Because they're not designed to, Hyunwoo realized. The Vorthak studied advanced alien tactics and built counters for them. They never bothered to prepare for primitive human methods. The retreat continued, but human ships provided effective rearguard action. Their obsolete weapons and wasteful tactics were the only things standing between the Coalition fleet and complete destruction. As they finally reached the rally point, General Veltar's communication came through again. This time his tone was different. The smugness was gone, replaced by confused uncertainty. Commander Kim, he said slowly, perhaps we should discuss your tactical proposals more thoroughly. Hyunwoo looked at his tired crew, then at the damaged Coalition fleet that had barely escaped disaster. The perfect alien strategies had crumbled in the face of an enemy that understood them too well. Perhaps we should, General, he replied. Perhaps we should. The emergency council meeting on the damaged Titan station felt different from the first gathering. Where once alien commanders had radiated confidence, now uncertainty filled the air. The great holographic display showed red markers spreading across Coalition space like a disease. Commander Hyunwoo Kim sat at the same table where his tactics had been mocked just weeks earlier. Now the alien generals avoided looking at him directly. Their attention focused on increasingly desperate battle reports. 17 systems lost in the past 10 days, General Veltar announced, his crystalline form dimmer than usual. The Vorthak advance continues despite our efforts to adapt our strategies. Hive speaker Kixna clicked her mandibles nervously. Swarm coordination remains compromised. The enemy deploys disruption fields faster than we can compensate. Our perfect unity has become a liability. Strategist Prime Zephin's mechanical voice carried an edge of frustration. Precision targeting effectiveness has decreased by 87%. Enemy quantum scramblers evolve faster than our targeting algorithms. Other alien commanders reported similar failures. Their specialized tactics, refined over millennia, were being systematically countered by an enemy that seemed to learn from every encounter. The Vorthak Empire was proving to be the perfect predator of organized warfare. "We must consider negotiating terms," suggested one of the smaller species representatives. "Perhaps tributary status would be preferable to total destruction." "Unacceptable," Veltar flared, his body pulsing with angry light. "The Altarian Republic has never surrendered to inferior beings." "Inferior?" Kixna buzzed sarcastically. "They are defeating us consistently. Perhaps our definition of inferior needs revision." The argument that followed was painful to watch. Proud alien civilizations, each convinced of their military superiority, struggled to explain how primitive enemies were crushing their advanced forces. Hyunwoo remained silent during most of the debate. His human staff sat nearby, equally quiet. Jihai Park took notes on her tablet while Tae-Min Lee studied tactical displays. They had learned to keep their opinions to themselves in these meetings. "What about withdrawal to fortified core worlds?" asked another alien commander. "We could establish defensive positions that the enemy cannot breach, and abandon half the galaxy to them." Veltar's voice rose to a painful pitch. "That is not strategy, that is cowardice." "Better cowardice than extinction," Kixna replied coldly. As the argument continued, Hyunwoo noticed something interesting. The alien commanders were so focused on fixing their existing tactics that they never questioned whether those tactics were fundamentally flawed. They kept trying to perfect systems that the enemy had already learned to counter. "If I may," he said quietly. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to the human commander who had been dismissed so easily in the first meeting. "You may speak," Veltar said stiffly. "The Vorthak seem to excel at analyzing and countering organized military doctrine," Hyunwoo began. "They study your patterns and develop specific responses. The more systematic your approach, the easier you are to counter." "Are you suggesting we abandon military discipline?" Zephon asked. "I'm suggesting that discipline and chaos aren't opposites," Hyunwoo replied. "Human military history shows that the most effective forces combine both elements." Kixna clicked skeptically. "Your species has barely 2 centuries of space warfare experience. What could you possibly teach civilizations that have fought for thousands of years?" "Maybe that's exactly the point," Tae-Min Lee said suddenly. Every head turned toward the young human officer. "Sorry, sir, but may I continue?" Hyunwoo nodded. "Go ahead, Lieutenant." "The Vorthak counter your tactics because they're too familiar with them," Tae-Min explained. "They fought against organized alien forces for years, but they've never faced anything like human warfare because we're too new to the galaxy." "Your point?" Veltar asked impatiently. "We don't fight the way you do," Tae-Min continued. "We improvise, we adapt. We make decisions individually instead of following perfect plans. We're chaotic in ways that can't be easily analyzed or countered." Jihai leaned forward. "The lieutenant has a point. In our recent encounters, Vorthak countermeasures have been ineffective against human forces. Because your technology is primitive," Kixna buzzed dismissively. "Or because our methods are unpredictable," Hyunwoo corrected gently. The room fell silent again. The alien commanders exchanged glances, their earlier mockery replaced by uncomfortable consideration. "You are suggesting," Zephon said slowly, "that chaos is superior to order." "I'm suggesting that adaptability is superior to rigid perfection," Hyunwoo replied. "The Vorthak beat you because they can predict your responses. They can't predict ours because we don't always know what we're going to do ourselves." Veltar's crystalline form flickered. "This is absurd. Military science is based on proven principles, tested strategies, optimized systems. And all of that optimization makes you predictable," Hyunwoo said. "You've evolved your tactics to perfection, but perfection has patterns. Patterns can be analyzed and countered. So what do you propose?" another alien commander asked. Hyunwoo stood and moved to the tactical display. "Controlled chaos. Mix tactics that combine your advanced technology with human unpredictability. Give individual commanders authority to improvise. Build redundant systems that work even when primary systems fail." "That sounds terrifyingly inefficient." Kixna observed. Inefficiency that works is better than efficiency that fails, Jihai pointed out. The alien commanders looked deeply uncomfortable with the concept. Their entire military philosophy was based on optimization, coordination, and systematic approaches. The idea of deliberately introducing chaos into their operations went against everything they believed about warfare. We need time to consider this, Feltar said finally. Time is something we don't have much of, Hyunwoo replied. The Vorthak are advancing on 3 more systems. If we wait much longer, there might not be a coalition left to save. After the meeting ended, Hyunwoo found himself walking the corridors of Titan Station with his staff. The damage from recent Vorthak raids was visible everywhere. Repair crews worked around the clock to fix systems that had been designed by aliens for aliens. Sir, Jihai said quietly, do you really think they'll listen to us now? Fear has a way of opening minds, Hyunwoo replied. They're desperate enough to consider alternatives. But will they actually implement human tactics? Taemin asked. That remains to be seen. Changing military doctrine isn't easy for any species, especially ones that have used the same methods for thousands of years. They passed a group of alien refugees from recently captured worlds. The beings looked lost and frightened, their confidence in their military superiority shattered by repeated defeats. Commander, Taemin said thoughtfully, what if we're wrong? What if human tactics fail against the Vorthak just like alien tactics did? Hyunwoo considered the question carefully. Then we'll adapt and try something else. That's what humans do best. The aliens don't seem to understand that concept, Jihai observed. No, they don't. They've spent so long perfecting their methods that they've forgotten how to change them. As they reached the human quarters, Hyunwoo paused at a window overlooking the station's docking bays. Ships from dozens of species were gathered there, their crews preparing for what might be their final desperate offensive. Sir? Taemin asked. If they do give us authority to implement human tactics, what exactly would we do? Hyunwoo smiled grimly. Something the Vorthak won't expect. Something chaotic enough that even we won't be sure how it will turn out. That's a terrifying way to plan a military campaign, Jihai said. Terrifying for us, Hyunwoo agreed, but hopefully more terrifying for them. That night, alone in his quarters, Hyunwoo studied files from Earth's military archives again. Every major human victory had come from doing the unexpected, from adapting faster than the enemy could respond. The ancient general Sun Tzu had written that all warfare was based on deception. Not just deceiving the enemy, but sometimes deceiving yourself enough to do things that rational analysis would reject. Admiral Yi Sun-sin had defeated superior Japanese fleets by using unconventional tactics that violated accepted naval doctrine. General Patton had won battles by moving faster than anyone thought possible, even when it meant taking enormous risks. Human military history was full of commanders who had succeeded by embracing chaos rather than fighting it. Maybe that was what the coalition needed now, not more perfect organization, but the courage to be imperfect. The next morning brought news that 2 more systems had fallen to the Vorthak advance. The emergency council was called into session again, and this time the alien commanders looked even more desperate. We have decided, General Veltar announced, his voice lacking its usual authority, to authorize experimental tactical implementation under human guidance. Hyunwoo felt a mixture of satisfaction and terror. The aliens were finally ready to listen, but now he had to prove that human methods could succeed where theirs had failed. What do you need from us? Kixna asked. Authority to reorganize mixed fleet formations, Hyunwoo replied. Permission to modify command structures. And most importantly, trust that organized chaos can defeat organized order. The alien commanders exchanged uncertain glances. They were about to bet the survival of their civilizations on the tactical doctrine. The Battle of Proxima Centauri began unlike any engagement the galaxy had ever seen. Commander Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship, watching his chaos doctrine unfold in ways that horrified alien observers and confused enemy analysts. Instead of the clean formations that alien military doctrine demanded, the Coalition fleet moved in seemingly random patterns. Altarian energy ships were mixed with Kethmori swarm fighters and Nexari precision craft. Human vessels provided the backbone of each group. their primitive systems serving as backup when advanced alien technology inevitably failed. "This is madness," General Veltar muttered, his crystalline form flickering with anxiety. "Our ships are scattered across the battlefield with no apparent coordination." "That's the point," Hyunwoo replied calmly. "The Vorthak can't counter tactics they can't predict." On his tactical display, individual ship commanders were making decisions that would have caused court-martial in any traditional alien fleet. Captain Dong-hyun Cho of the human frigate Busan Runner had broken formation entirely, using his ship's damaged engines as improvised weapons to ram a Vorthak cruiser. "Cho to fleet command," came the captain's voice over the communication channel. "My engines are dead, but the enemy ship's shields are down. Anyone want to take advantage?" 3 Altarian ships immediately pounced on the exposed Vorthak vessel, their energy weapons finally finding targets that weren't protected by adaptive countermeasures. "Impossible," Veltar whispered. "Ramming attacks are wasteful and inefficient, but effective," Ji-hai Park pointed out from her station. The Vorthak didn't expect it because no rational commander would order such a maneuver. Elsewhere in the battle, Lieutenant So Young-han was leading a fighter squadron that deliberately broke every rule of formation flying. Her pilots scattered like startled birds, then regrouped in patterns that changed every few minutes. "Han to flight control." Her voice crackled through static. "Vorthak targeting computers can't lock onto us. We're too random for their prediction algorithms. Maintain your whatever it is you're doing," Hyunwoo replied, still amazed that controlled chaos could work so well. The alien commanders watched in growing astonishment as human inefficiency proved more effective than their optimized systems. Every time the Vorthak deployed countermeasures, the coalition forces had already changed tactics. Commander Byung-jun Kang and his marine units provided the most shocking example. When Vorthak boarding parties attacked a coalition vessel, they expected to face organized resistance following standard defensive protocols. Instead, they encountered Marines using alien weapons in ways their creators never intended. Kang's troops had modified Nexari precision rifles to fire Altarian energy charges, creating weapons that were technically impossible but practically devastating. "Kang, to all units," came the Marine commander's voice. "Enemy boarders neutralized. They weren't prepared for weapons that shouldn't exist." "How did you even make those modifications work?" Taemin Lee asked over the channel. "We didn't know they wouldn't work," Kang replied cheerfully. "So we tried anyway." The battle raged for hours, but the pattern became clear early on. Traditional Vorthak adaptation methods failed against opponents who adapted faster than analysis could follow. Their sophisticated prediction systems couldn't process tactics that changed faster than computers could calculate. "Sir," Ji-hai reported, "Vorthak forces are showing signs of confusion. Their formation integrity is breaking down." Hyunwoo studied the enemy movements. For the first time since the war began, Vorthak ships were making mistakes. Their perfect coordination was disrupted by encounters with coalition forces that refused to behave predictably. "They're trying to adapt to our chaos," he realized. "But chaos can't be systematized." Captain Dong-hyun Cho's voice came through again. "Fleet Command, I've got an idea. It's completely insane and probably suicidal. Proceed." "Captain," Hyunwoo said without hesitation, "I'm going to use my ship's remaining momentum to slingshot around that asteroid and hit their command vessel from an impossible angle." "That's tactically unsound," Veltar protested. "The risk of failure is enormous." "The chance of success is also enormous," Hyunwoo countered. "Do it, Cho." The Busan Runner, her engines dead and hull breached in 3 places, used gravitational mechanics and pure audacity to achieve what advanced alien technology could not. Cho's impossible maneuver brought his ship into point-blank range of the Vorthak command vessel. "Firing everything we have left," Cho announced. The human frigate's remaining kinetic weapons and explosive charges struck the enemy command ship at close range. The Vorthak vessel, designed to deflect energy weapons and quantum strikes, had no defense against old-fashioned projectiles and chemical explosives delivered at suicide range. "Direct hit on enemy command vessel," Taemin reported with excitement. "Their coordination network is failing." The Vorthak fleet began to lose cohesion as their command structure collapsed. Ships that had moved with perfect synchronization suddenly found themselves operating independently, without the central coordination that had made them so effective. "Now we have them," Hyunwoo said. "All units maximum pressure. Don't give them time to reorganize." What followed was unlike any space battle in galactic history. Coalition forces pressed their advantage using tactics that were simultaneously brilliant and insane. Ships used debris as weapons. Fighters performed maneuvers that violated physics textbooks, and Marines fought with jury-rigged equipment that shouldn't have functioned. Lieutenant So Young-han's fighter squadron achieved perhaps the most impossible feat of the battle. Her pilots flew their craft through the expanding debris field of destroyed ships, using wreckage as cover while delivering precision strikes against enemy vessels. Han to Fleet Command. Her voice came through the chaos. We're flying through a ship graveyard at combat speed. This is either the stupidest thing we've ever done or the most brilliant. Both, Hyunwoo replied. Keep doing it. The Vorthak forces, faced with enemies that refused to follow rational tactical doctrine, began to retreat. Their adaptation systems were overloaded, trying to process tactics that changed faster than analysis could follow. Sir, Jihai announced, enemy forces are withdrawing from the system. We've achieved tactical victory. The alien commanders on the bridge stood in stunned silence. Their superior military doctrines had failed repeatedly against the Vorthak, but human chaos had succeeded where order could not. How is this possible? Kixna buzzed, her mandibles clicking in confusion. Your tactics violate every principle of efficient warfare. Efficiency isn't everything, Hyunwoo replied. Sometimes effectiveness matters more. Captain Cho's voice came through one final time. Fleet Command, the Busan runner is completely dead in space, but we're alive. Request pickup when convenient. Already dispatched, Captain, Hyunwoo said. Outstanding work. As the coalition fleet regrouped after the battle, the alien commanders struggled to process what they had witnessed. Their technological superiority had been rendered meaningless by human willingness to embrace chaos and unpredictability. Commander Kim, General Veltar said slowly, his crystalline form pulsing with uncertain light, your methods are effective, but they seem to rely on accepting enormous risks. All warfare involves risk, Hyunwoo replied. The question is whether you take calculated risks or unexpected ones. But how do you plan for tactics that are inherently unplannable? Strategist Prime Zephon asked. You don't plan for them, Taemin answered. You prepare your people to adapt and improvise. You give them authority to make decisions on their own. Commander Byung-jun Kang joined the discussion via communication link. Sir, the difference is trust. We trust our people to do the right thing, even when they can't follow orders. The alien commanders exchanged glances that would have been meaningful if any of them understood what they had just witnessed. Human tactics worked not because they were superior, but because they were fundamentally different from anything the galaxy had seen before. What do we do now? Kixna asked. We teach you chaos, Hyunwoo said. We show you how to fight wars that can't be won by perfect plans and flawless execution. Can our species learn such methods? Veltar wondered. That remains to be seen, Hyunwoo admitted. But if you want to beat the Vorthak, you'll have to try. The Battle of Proxima Centauri was over, but the real work was just beginning. The coalition had won a victory, but winning the war would require alien species to abandon everything they thought they knew about military science. As reports came in from other fronts where human-influenced tactics were being tested, one thing became clear. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the best way to win was to embrace the possibility of losing. The Vorthak had mastered the art of countering organized warfare. Now they would face something far more dangerous, warfare that refused to be organized. The new coalition headquarters buzzed with activity that would have been impossible weeks earlier. Alien officers worked alongside human advisors, their perfect formations replaced by the organized chaos that had proven so effective against the Vorthak Empire. Commander Hyunwoo Kim stood before the main tactical display, watching battle reports from across the galaxy. The tide of war was turning. Systems that had been lost were being reclaimed. Vorthak forces were retreating on multiple fronts, unable to adapt to the unpredictable human-influenced tactics. Final offensive planning session in 10 minutes, Jihai Park announced. All senior commanders report to the strategy room. The meeting that followed was unlike any military conference in galactic history. Alien generals who had once mocked human tactics now deferred to Hyunwoo's expertise. They asked questions about controlled chaos, adaptive command structures, and the philosophy of unpredictable warfare. The Vorthak homeworld defense grid represents their ultimate challenge, General Veltar explained. his crystalline form now showing signs of cautious respect. They have had centuries to perfect their defenses, which means they'll be extremely systematic and organized, Yunwu observed. Perfect targets for chaotic tactics. But the risks are enormous, strategist Prime Zephon pointed out. If we fail here, the war is lost. If we don't try, the war is lost anyway, Taemin Lee replied from his position at the planning table. The discussion continued for hours, with alien commanders struggling to embrace concepts that violated everything they had been taught about warfare. The final battle plan that emerged was a masterpiece of controlled chaos, combining alien technology with human unpredictability. As the meeting broke up, General Veltar approached Hyunwoo privately. The massive Altarian seemed uncomfortable, his usual commanding presence replaced by something that looked almost vulnerable. "Commander Kim," Veltar said quietly, "I would like to speak with you alone if you have time." Hyunwoo nodded, curious about what the proud alien general wanted to discuss. They walked to Veltar's private quarters, a space designed for beings much larger than humans. The room's crystalline walls reflected light in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. "Please, sit." Veltar gestured to a chair that had been hastily modified for human proportions. For several minutes, neither spoke. Veltar seemed to be struggling with something, his form flickering with colors that Hyunwoo's cultural briefings had taught him indicated deep emotional distress. "Commander," Veltar finally said, "I must confess something that brings me great shame." Hyunwoo waited patiently, sensing that whatever the alien wanted to say was important. "When we first met, when your species presented their tactical proposals, we mocked you," Veltar continued. "We dismissed your methods as primitive and ineffective." "I remember," Hyunwoo said simply. "But we were not being honest." Veltar's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "We did not mock your tactics because they were inferior. We mocked them because they terrified us." The admission hung in the air between them. Hyunwoo felt a chill of understanding as he realized what the alien general was trying to say. "Your species fights in ways we cannot comprehend," Veltar continued, his form pulsing with agitated light. "You embrace chaos where we seek order. You find strength in what we consider weakness. You accept uncertainty as a tool rather than fighting against it." Hyunwoo leaned forward, beginning to understand the deeper implications of what he was hearing. "We have spent thousands of years perfecting our military doctrines," Veltar went on. "We convinced ourselves that evolution meant eliminating randomness, achieving perfect coordination, optimizing every variable. We believed that advancement meant leaving chaos behind. But chaos isn't the opposite of evolution," Hyunwoo said quietly. "It's part of it." "Yes," Veltar's form brightened with what might have been relief. "But admitting that would mean admitting that our entire understanding of military science was flawed. It would mean acknowledging that perhaps we were not as advanced as we believed." The crystalline being paused, his form shifting through colors that indicated deep emotional turmoil. "When we mocked your tactics, we were really mocking our own fears," Veltar admitted. "We were afraid that if we acknowledged the effectiveness of human warfare, we would have to face the possibility that all our centuries of military development had led us down the wrong path." Hyunwoo sat back in his chair, processing this revelation. The alien mockery hadn't been born from superiority, but from insecurity and fear. "We were terrified," Veltar continued, "that your chaotic methods might work better than our ordered ones. And if that were true, what did it say about us? What did it say about our civilizations?" "It says that you're different," Hyunwoo replied. "Not better or worse, just different. And maybe the galaxy needs both kinds of thinking." Veltar's form stabilized into colors that indicated surprise. "You do not see this as proof of human superiority?" "No," Hyunwoo shook his head. "I see it as proof that diversity makes us stronger. Your technology gives us capabilities we could never achieve alone. Our chaos gives you adaptability you've forgotten how to access. But your methods work where ours failed," Veltar protested. "Against this particular enemy," Hyunwoo corrected. "There might be other enemies where your perfect coordination would be exactly what's needed. The key is knowing when to use which approach." The alien general seemed to consider this carefully. "You truly believe that our methods have value?" "I've seen what your technology can do when it's not being countered," Hyunwoo replied. "Your energy barriers are incredible. Keth-Mori coordination is beautiful when it works. Nexari precision is unmatched when it can function. The problem wasn't your methods, it was using only your methods. So what you are saying, Veltar said slowly, is that perhaps true military evolution means combining order and chaos rather than choosing between them? Exactly, Hyunwoo smiled. We're not replacing your tactics with ours. We're creating something new that uses both. Veltar's form shifted to colors that Hyunwoo had learned indicated deep thought. This perspective is liberating. We have spent so long defending the superiority of our methods that we forgot the possibility of learning from others. Fear does that, Hyunwoo observed. It makes us defensive instead of curious. Indeed, Veltar agreed. And we were very afraid of what human tactics represented. Over the following days, the coalition prepared for the final assault on the Vorthak homeworld. The battle plan that emerged was a true fusion of alien precision and human chaos. Altarian technology provided the framework, while human adaptability provided the unpredictable elements. HFY Park worked with Nexari strategists to create controlled randomization in targeting protocols. Taemin Lee collaborated with Keth Mori coordinators to develop flexible swarm tactics that could break formation and reform as conditions changed. The assault itself was a testament to what different species could accomplish when they truly worked together. Alien precision created opportunities that human chaos exploited. Human adaptability covered weaknesses that alien rigidity exposed. Captain Dong-Hyun Cho, his new ship equipped with both human and alien technology, led attacks that were simultaneously impossible and inevitable. Commander Byung-Jun Kang's Marines used weapons that combined multiple species innovations in ways that shouldn't have worked, but did. Lieutenant So Young, Han coordinated fighter squadrons that included pilots from 6 different species, each contributing their unique strengths to formations that were both organized and chaotic. The Vorthak homeworld fell, not because human tactics were superior to alien ones, but because the combination was something entirely new. The enemy had learned to counter organized alien warfare and chaotic human warfare separately, but they had no defense against both working together. In the aftermath of victory, Hyunwoo found himself back in a strategy room, but this time the atmosphere was completely different. Alien commanders no longer looked at him with mockery or even grudging respect. They looked at him as an equal partner in something larger than any single species could achieve. "What now?" asked Hive Speaker Kixna. "How do we maintain this cooperation in peacetime?" "We keep learning from each other," Hyunwoo replied. "We create training programs that teach both order and chaos. We develop hybrid technologies that combine the best of all our approaches." General Veltar stood, his crystalline form glowing with steady, confident light. "Commander Kim, would you consider establishing a joint military academy? A place where all species can learn from each other?" "I think that's an excellent idea," Hyunwoo smiled. "But I want to make sure we teach the most important lesson of all." "Which is?" Strategist Prime Zephon asked. "That being different isn't something to fear or mock," Hyunwoo said. "It's something to celebrate and learn from. The galaxy is big enough for many different ways of thinking." The final scene of the war showed something unprecedented. A mixed class of human and alien officers learning tactics that combined the best of both approaches. Former critics like General Veltar eagerly took notes on human improvisation techniques, while human officers studied alien coordination methods. Taemin Lee, now promoted to instructor, taught a course called Adaptive Command Structures to students from 12 different species.